Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 559. My opponent played e4, I went e5, and then he went f4, the King's Gambit. So always fun to play this. Sometimes I will decline or play in a more quiet fashion. You can decline the Gambit by playing bishop to c5. And the point is that if he takes the pawn right away, you have the move queen to h5 check, which actually, after he blocks the check, you take here, and that wins the rook in the corner. So that's just winning for black. So he can't take the pawn, and he has to play some other developing move after bishop to c5. Typically, a knight to f3 will be played there, and then you can shore up the center with d6, and you get more or less a normal king's pawn opening type of position where white has some opening advantage, but not a huge one. Anyway, it's more challenging and maybe correct to actually take the pawn. Leads to a lot of interesting play. So knight to f3, I go g5, and now the main line continues with h4, immediately trying to interrupt this pawn formation that black is setting up here. In particular, if he can get rid of the g-pawn, encourage it to come forward, then this f-pawn becomes weak and the bishop can come out with a single move and take the f-pawn. So that's one of the ideas there. And the other main move here is bishop to c4, and then just playing in the center. So h3 is a bit of a quiet move and not entirely in the spirit of the opening. But you'll see that the advantage doesn't change all that much. I mean, it's a slight edge to black, and black is a pawn up. So it's not a healthy pawn, I guess, is the way to look at it. It's kind of an awkward structure over here, and black has a little difficulty developing. So there is compensation for the pawn, but probably not enough with good play. Anyway, I continue with normal development. I like to defend this bishop so I can place the pawn on h6 and then develop the knight. He plays d4. I go h6 now. All part of the plan. You'll see that I'm keeping an advantage here. Let's see, he should probably continue more actively with piece development. Bishop e2, knight to c3, or what the chess engine is recommending. Pawn to c3, another kind of slow move. I go knight f6, keeping on with my plans to get my pieces out. He goes bishop d3. Castle, knight bd2. So I think both sides have played logically. I think white just played a little bit slowly, and so white has the advantage here. And I keep it for a while. It'll be interesting to find that moment when it swings, because at some point, you have to always, this structure here, it can be undermined, and the king position can be opened up. So you always have to be extra vigilant when playing the King's Gambit this way. Let's see, he goes queen c2. I go knight h5. Now knight h5, you can question that move. Maybe instead of going on a knight adventure, I should continue bringing my pieces out. Knight to c6 is one of the moves here on the list. But you see, knight h5 is actually liked by the chess engine. I mean, it does ask some interesting questions of black, like is he going to try and defend against knight to g3 here? And also, if I can blockade these pawns, then that'll make it harder for him to get to my king. So it has a couple of good ideas here. Anyway, he decides to challenge my knight, not allow it to come to g3 by playing the move knight to c1. And now my best way to continue here would be with c5 and try and undermine his center pawn structure. But I was feeling nervous about not getting any pieces out, so I started developing pieces. Knight to c6. Okay, still keeping an advantage to black, so I haven't messed up yet. Bishop d2. He goes pawn to b6. Another. Oh no, it's my turn. Pawn to b6. I was trying to figure out how to develop the bishop, so that's a little bit of a slow move. But well, it didn't change the evaluation that much, so I guess I'm still okay here. He castles queenside, and now he's all ready to just start undermining these pawns. He can throw his kingside pawns forward without worrying about any weaknesses around his king. I go a5. I have this idea of bringing the bishop out here, and actually this is where the evaluation shifts. So since a5 and bishop a6 are part of the same plan, it looks like I need to find a different plan. The engine is recommending knight to a5. Oh, yeah, so it still wants to go with c5. I think that's probably correct. The knight a5 followed by c5, busting up the center, is maybe the best way to play, and keep the bishop here until it becomes clear where it needs to go. So this is one step in the wrong direction, a5. He goes rook to g1, just logically putting the rook opposite my king and preparing his pawn break here to bust up the center. And I continued with my plan of bishop a6. And right here is where the evaluation changed. So just in that one move, it went from favorable to black to favorable to white. So white has the edge from here on out. He takes off that bishop. And now I'm going to have to waste a tempo getting this knight back. And tempos can be very important in these sharp positions. And you'll see he plays the top move here. He just pushes ahead with his attack. He's done a lot. He was played slowly to set up this pawn break, but now he's ready to play it, and he just forges ahead very logically. So I didn't see anything better than taking. The knight didn't see anything better either, and I was thinking, well, maybe I can eliminate some of the attackers by these exchanges. I take on g3, comes back with the rook, but he has a pretty good predominance of pieces over here, and now you can see the problem with my rook being out of play, and I can't use it on the third rank. There's just too many pieces in the way. I'm going to have to bring it back and over, so it's going to be a slow process. And so now white has more than compensation for the pawn. He actually has a strong attack at this point, and I'm probably lost. If you watch the evaluation, the chess engine, you know, it's a slow attack in a way. It takes a long time to build up, but it's very hard to defend against. And as the engine searches deeper, the evaluation has been climbing in white's favor. So he's basically outplayed me at this point, and he has a winning attack. So I play f6, which is the toughest defense. There's rook to g1. I go rook to a8, trying to bring my rook back in the game. But then after rook a8, the evaluation really starts to shoot up. He has this move h4, which just disrupts those pawns. So what should I be trying? But even without that move, even with the best move here, rook f7, knight e7, and knight e7 makes some sense. Get the knight out of the way and try and get it into the action. Maybe it can contribute on the g file. You see that's still a winning attack, but you know, getting the rook in. Yeah, this is what I mean. As I was speaking, the evaluation rose to 1 1/4, and I think it might continue to rise. It's just a difficult attack to defend against. Okay, so rook a8, not the most precise move, and now he plays h4, which is the top choice once again. So he's playing a very logical attack, and he gets a completely winning position after a few more moves. So I go queen e7. I mean, probably already is completely winning. Cancel. Queen d7. Yeah, even with the best move here, he's got a +2 edge, so that's winning. So he's winning at this point. And even though I don't find the best moves here, even the best moves would lose. So I'm doing what I can to just try and hang on. And he sacks the knight here, which is a correct sacrifice because of the pressure. Cancel that. The pressure that he gets on my bishop here. I decide not to take back and let his rook in immediately. Yeah, the engine wants me to take. It thinks I should go ahead and grab the knight. I pause to defend. Oh, I pause. I counterattack. Bring my rook all the way to f7. I'm just trying to figure out some way to get some kind of play and also get my other rook in the game. I need to get all my pieces into the game here. They're still, you know, from a material point of view, the balance is not that far off. I think it's actually even, right? 2 rooks and 2 minor pieces and the same number of pawns. So his attack is purely based on his greater piece activity, and if I can get my pieces active, I can fend it off. Of course, if you look at the engine evaluation, it'll tell you that it's in fact hopeless. But I can always try. So knight f3, cutting off my rook, and I give up the exchange here, which was actually one of the top engine choices. Takes back, and then I can bring my other rook in. So now he is up material, and he plays kind of simply from here on out. And let's go forward. We'll see. He still keeps the winning edge. We'll try and identify the point where that changes. He's gotten rid of a lot of material. Let's back up. During the game, I thought after this, maybe he could just, instead of taking my rook, maybe he could just bring his rook back to the, rook f to g3. Just bring his rook back here and trade out on this pinned bishop. I can't really defend this bishop anymore. So I think this is the best continuation here. Is rook takes f8, although still keeping a winning edge, it sort of sets him on the wrong path. So let's look at this continuation. If he doubles on the g file, I mean, how am I defending this bishop? It's pinned, it can't move, and the queen is defending it. I guess I was planning something like rook f7, and he's got bishop takes h6, and taking advantage of that pinned bishop. I'm just going down in material here. I'll try to, say, bring the knight over, and he can just exchange out here. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes check. Cancel that. Rook takes check, forking the king and the queen. And he's just got a queen versus a knight. So that would have been game over there. So the way he played this, rook takes f7, rook takes f8, even though it keeps a winning edge, it's just not the best way to play it. You want to kind of put your opponent out of his misery when you get the chance, and you don't want to leave him lingering on, because the tables can always turn, as we see in this game. Okay, so take his knight back. Take his rook back. He plays bishop e3. I go knight d8 now. I'm trying to get my knight into the game. Goes queen f2 check, bringing it over. But now I start walking my king to safety over on the other side of the board. Comes in with queen f5, all the while keeping a winning advantage, by the way. So it's not like this is terrible play. Queen f5 in particular is a good move because it prevents my king from escaping here. But I momentarily I find a way to block it with knight e6. Let's see, he played rook to g6. Come over here with knight f8 to harass his rook, and queen c8 check. Yeah, that maybe is the best move here, but he drops his rook back to g4, and I get my king one step further away. Just 2 more steps and I'm safe, for the moment anyway. He goes queen h5, king c8. That let me out. He gave up that diagonal, and he's maybe winning material over here, but I'm getting my king safe. So he grabs a pawn, and I take back. He takes, and now knight back to e6, getting my knight out of trouble, and my king can step to b7 at any time. So still notice that white has the winning edge. He's up in material, he's up the exchange, and he's up a pawn. But there's no immediate attack anymore that really can destroy me. I think, rook g8, king b7, queen g6, coming in that way. So he tries pushing on with pawns. d5, I cancel that. He went d5, trying to dislodge my knight. But the knight goes to c5, where it's actually starting to look at squares in white's camp for the first time. So for the first time in the game, I'm starting to get a little bit of counterplay, or ideas for counterplay. Goes queen g6, maybe wanting to force a queen trade and go into an endgame, which would also be winning. So I get a check here, and I use it. Knight d3 check, king c2, harassing my knight, and the knight goes to a nice central square on e5 and forks the queen and the rook. Now he can get out of this with queen g8 check. He does. King b7. Let's see. That was another opportunity here. Queen f5 check is the stronger check. Let's take a look at this, because it goes sideways in just a few moves. This is the way for him to continue best. So queen f5 check. I would probably play king b7, trying to run this way, and now rook g8. So the rook on the back rank and the queen threatening to come into c8. Looks like this is a deadly combination. Yeah, I have no way to prevent that. How about knight d7? Knight d7 or queen d7 is probably... Well, queen d7 he will trade and go to the endgame, which is winning, so cancel that. Knight d7, say, trying to block the access to the queen. Queen comes to e6. Okay, so he's going to chase my queen away by provoking some trades, but like I said, it's a winning endgame. So, and my queen runs away, queen to h4. Like in the game, actually, I tried to get some counterplay with the queen to h4 in the game. king d1. Okay, so the line goes on. It's not so simple. I guess that's the point. He has a win in hand, but of course the player, it's a game played by humans and not by chess engines. He did the natural move, queen g8 check, just getting out of the fork, forcing my king to b7, and then he moves his rook to g7, hitting my queen. But that was the last mistake. Well, I can't say it was the last mistake. It's there's actually I have a win in here, but he's chasing my queen away from defense of the king, but it allows my queen to get active. He's given up the h4 square here, and so my queen is finally out of the box and threatening to come in here with checks. And the evaluation suddenly shifts, and now it's a draw. I have enough counterplay to get a draw. Let's see. He tries queen h7, trying to provoke that queen trade, but I come in with queen f2 check. King runs to b3. I go a4 check. I'm desperately searching for checks because this is going to be mate here in short order if I don't do everything with check. King takes a4, and queen to c5 check. Queen to c5 is a move without check, but it defends this pawn. So finally I've gotten to a point, it's still drawn here, so I managed to get my queen over where it's safe. And let's see, he plays b4, trying to kick my queen away. And now this move actually has taken some squares away from the king, and there is a mate in 5 here. So I could just win the game on the board from this position. Really shows how how things can turn around quickly if you let your opponent hang around and let him linger on instead of putting him out of his misery like you should. So with this check, if the king comes forward, then the queen here is mate. So the king has to go back to b3. And then queen c4 check. I played these moves too. I played the first couple. But both sides were really low on time, and I did not find the mate. He went to c2 or b2. Okay, they're still both mate in 3 here. And now the mate in 3 starts with queen e2 check, and I played queen d3 check. So let's go ahead and play out the mate. And if you want to have a little tactical puzzle here, you can pause the video and see if you can visualize the mate yourself. There's a mate in 3 here with with black. Okay, let's play out that mate. Queen e2 check. I didn't play that, but want to see how it goes. That forces the king to the back rank. What if he comes forward again? I didn't see it just making progress. So first of all, yeah, what happens if he comes forward? Then queen d1 check on the diagonal, and he can't go forward anymore. He can go to the side, to a3 or to b2. And in both of those squares, the knight coming in is mate. Oh, now that's pretty. The knight covers these squares, the queen covers these squares, and there is absolutely nowhere for the king to go. That's a pretty mate. I didn't see that one at all. So let's see. And after queen e2 check, if the king doesn't go to b3, then he goes to the back rank. And then the knight comes in with check. Knight to d3 check, forcing him to that square, and then the queen comes over here with mate. Very pretty. Okay, so I missed that. I played, after king c2, I played queen d3 check, like I said, being short on time and really thinking about just going for a draw. But as long as his king kept running away, I was gonna look for that mate. He went king b2. I went queen back to c4. I didn't see the mate, and I didn't want to get mated myself, so I came back and defended this pawn. And he can repeat with king c2, but actually there's still a mate on the board. Instead he played queen to h2, bring his queen back to defend. And now, it's probably a draw at this point. With the queen back defending, there's no longer a mate for me. And it's funny, the engine still gives an evaluation. I did play this move, knight d3 check, with a slight edge to black, but white has to find the move king b1 to stay in the game. If king goes to c2 again, I have this check here, winning the queen. Anyway, my opponent ran out of time at this point, so I won on time. Very interesting back and forth game. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon. Bye.